Hey everyone, Casey Scanlon here, bringing you another Lake of the Ozarks fishing report. It's the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. We had a lot of rain yesterday, and in general, the water level is still low and the fishing is still pretty tough, but things are changing. You know, there's a lot of bait fish showing up. The fish are on the move, and yesterday a lot of rain, so that's going to have this clear water that we've got throughout a lot of the lake is going to start, getting a little bit of stain to it, and low water, a little bit of rain never helps. So had a cold rain, pretty chilly rain all day yesterday, and throughout the week, these air temperatures and some of the lows are going to be, below freezing. So that's really probably going to help the fishing. It's not going to be the most pleasant fishing wise, but these fish really need to kind of get jump started into that winter feeding mode. It's been very nice all throughout the fall, and the temperature just hasn't gotten super cold yet. So these fish are scattered throughout the lake. They're in a lot of different depth ranges. They're on a variety of cover. So a lot of lures that we're going to talk about today. There's a lot of things you can go out there and do right now to catch fish, and I'm not sure which one of them is best. It really kind of depends day in and day out. What the fish are doing. They're not doing the same thing every day, so you got to keep your keep your head on a swivel and be prepared to change things up and switch it up if the fish aren't responding to what you're throwing. So let's start with what these fish are biting on. First bait we'll talk about, since the water's getting colder and since it's closest to me, is the jerk bait. This is just a mega bass jerk bait. Got it on a 6'6" medium action rod, 6.5 to 1 gear ratio, and anywhere from 10 to 14 pound Bass Pro Shops fluorocarbon, just depending on how deep I want that bait to run. Throughout the winter, this is going to be, probably one of my go-tos. You can't go wrong with something, kind of natural shad pattern, especially with some of these days we've been getting that have been kind of clear and still. But your brighter, more obnoxious colors are going to work really well too. But right now I've been sticking to kind of my shad patterns, fishing it with a very fast retrieve. I got number 6 Hayabusa TBL 930 treble hooks on there. Sharpest hook you can get. If I'm fishing any bait with the treble hook, I'm putting those TBL 930s on there. You're going to catch more fish, and you're going to just make more money, put more fish in the boat if you're a tournament guy. That's the name of the game. So that bite's going to be good. Chase the wind. A lot of the fish are around boat docks still, and I'm going to tend to use that more in like some clear water. We got a lot of clear water kind of down towards the dam, but as you get up the river and make your way up towards that hurricane deck area, you get a lot more stain in the water. So water temperature right now is, upper 50s, low 60s, depending on where you're at in the lake. It varies greatly. The further you go up the river, the lower that water temperature is going to get. The water's shallower up there. But you get a couple of really warm days and it heats that water right back up. So, but in general, you got cooler water as you go up the river, up the creek arms. You're going to find a few degrees difference there. But it's hanging around that 60 degree mark still with these cold nights. Should drop a little bit more. But that jerkbait bite, use your Garmin live scope. Fish around brush piles, fish around boat docks right now, and just look to see where those fish are suspended. A lot of them are in bait balls, sitting around the middles of the creeks. So the jerkbait's one that I have tied on all the time, and works all year long, but it's really going to start coming into its own right now. Another bait, one of my favorites. This is actually a, what do they call these? A rock crawler. But rock crawler, wiggle wart, something like that's going to work really, really well this time of year. I got that on a 7-foot medium heavy action Hemdahl rod. This is from 6 Gill. It's more of a jerkbait rod, but it's parabolic. And so I love it for cranking. And it's got a little bit of backbone being a medium heavy. So it's perfect for these wiggle warts and flat sides, things like that. But anyways, got it on a 6:3 to 1 gear ratio. Want to keep that gear ratio low so I can, crank it very slowly, hit the bottom with it, and feel that bait bump off the rocks. But I think a slower gear ratio is important. 12-pound fluorocarbon. Anytime I'm cranking, I'm pretty much using that 12-pound fluorocarbon from Bass Pro Shops. And cover some water, get in the wind. Primary points, secondary points, bluff banks, really anywhere, gravel, anywhere the wind's blowing and anywhere you can get to the bank. Lake of the Ozarks has a ton of boat docks, so sometimes it's kind of hard to, get that bait to hit the bottom, which is the goal of a crankbait. You want it to dive into the bottom, deflect off the bottom, and create that reaction strike. So I like keeping a wiggle ward on for when I'm kind of paralleling, fishing up shallower. And then this rock crawler kind of does the same thing, but it dives a little bit deeper. So some of those casts that I got to make in between the boat docks, I'll make with that deeper bait so it actually touches the bottom. So those two baits are really going to start coming into their own. They excel in the 40s, 50s, water temperature wise. So two baits that are really going to start getting better and better as we kind of move into this winter time period. Let's see, we got the big baits, whether it's a soft swim bait or whether it's this glide. The shad right now are really big. There's a lot of big gizzard shad up on the bank, out off the bank, and these fish are feeding up for winter. They want a big meal. And this is a great way to catch big fish. This is a hyper shad. I got it on a 25-pound Bass Pro Shop fluorocarbon. And fishing that thing slow around the bank. I'm not an expert with the glide baits. I love a soft swim bait, whether it's like, a line through or something on a jig head. You want a 5 to 6 inch, 7 inch bait, something big, something that's going to catch their attention, larger profile. You're going for big fish here. You can fish this slow, you can fish it really fast, but the key is to get around big bait and put that thing right on the bank and fish it slowly most of the days. This time of year, fish, their metabolism is getting a little bit slower. So a lot of times you can fish that reel erratically and get them to bite, but I found that lately you kind of want to just kind of walk it side to side and let that thing track and hopefully draw the attention of a big one. Not a numbers bait, but fun bait to throw and something you can get some bites on for sure. Maybe catch an absolute giant. The jig has been really good day in, day out. Just anything green pumpkin or brown. That one's actually a 5/8 crocagator. I've been running out of some of my trophy bass stuff here. I'm out of all my 5/8 ounce heads recently. So gotta order some more of those for sure. But yeah, the jigs have been working well. Boat docks, open banks, brush piles, deep structure, cables. These fish are really, really scattered. So you're likely to fish around a boat dock in the back of a creek and catch a few, and you're likely to, fish main lake point or some kind of structure and catch some there as well. Those brush piles in between. You never really know right now where these bites are going to come from, but keeping a jig in your hand is a great way to kind of be consistent this time of year. The fish are eating a lot of crawfish, and I like that 5/8 half ounce size that allows me to fish a variety of depths. I'll cast that right next to the docks, right next to the brush piles, and just kind of fish it slow. A lot of these fish are suspended. They're tracking it to the bottom. They're catching it on the fall. So adjust your weight sizes on that and see what the fish want. But most of the time I like a little bit heavier jig just so I can fish it in a variety of situations. But just be slow with that. Put a craw trailer on there, green pumpkin or brown, can't really go wrong. Dirtier color, dark days like we've been having lately, had some stormy weather yesterday. I'm never afraid to tie on that black and blue even in clear water. So got a couple jigs tied up, 20-pound to 25-pound fluorocarbon line. You want to For me, I like a bigger, heavier line. I'm fishing it around cover all the time, whether it's a brush pile, a boat dock, cables. I'm trying to put it around heavy cover, and I just can't get away with lighter line. When I set the hook and I'm around a cable or a piece of metal or a brush pile that's got zebra mussels on it, I break those fish off sometimes with the hook set. So maybe it's a matter of adjusting your hook sets, but I like to increase my line size whenever possible, just so I can get away with a little more and hopefully get more fish in the boat. Spinnerbait, anytime the water's in the 50s, spinnerbait's awesome. Been catching quite a few on this on certain days, but right now it's really gonna start coming into its own. A lot of shad on the bank. There's still been biting it short. I love that we had some rain last night. That's gonna really help the watercolor, which a little bit of stain in the water and a spinnerbait go hand in hand. That's, a deadly combination. So hopefully that colors up the water a little bit. This is gonna work really well on windy days. This is my 1/2 ounce Trophy Bass Company Ozarks Flash. I'm gonna throw the 1/2 ounce, the 3/4, maybe even adjust some blade sizes on some of those. Bigger, smaller, just depending on how you wanted to get it to run. But that 1/2 ounce and 3/4 are deadly right out of the package. I'm gonna add a Hayabusa trailer hook to that for sure every time. This is just a 1/0 trailer hook, so it's not very big. It runs straight behind the bait perfectly, and you can see it's got these little beads. You slide these beads up together, and it keeps that hook running perfectly straight. I'll get it going for you so you can see it here now. But it's a pretty unique trailer hook system. They've also got a trailer lock that I love for my buzz baits. If you're using a soft plastic on your buzz baits, it helps keep the soft plastic on your lure. So it helps keep it from sliding down, and it also pins that trailer hook in place. So awesome for a buzz bait. But the spinnerbait, again, chase the wind, throw it back where other people aren't throwing, behind cables, throw it at laydowns, any kind of visible cover, get it close to the bank, fish it around shad. If you see bait balls on your Garmin electronics or visibly see pods of shad or groups of shad on flats or anywhere, just slow roll that spinnerbait underneath them, and you can catch some really big fish that way. The spinnerbait, this is my favorite time of year to fish it, and this is one of my favorite lakes to throw it on. It just catches absolute giants. You can slow roll it over brush piles. You can fish it on points, channel banks, secondary points. Just put it in your hand, chase the wind, and fish hard with it. That's the key. When they're biting it, lock it in your hand. You're gonna get big bites. That's all there is to it. The spinnerbait catches absolute giants. So that's gonna be really, really good for here for a few weeks, hopefully longer. Buzz bait, I got a black buzz bait here. That's a staple, Lake of the Ozarks. That bite's been really tough for me on most days. When they're up on the bank, it, and you can catch them on that spinnerbait, you can catch them on the buzz bait, but when they're not, it's kind of a timing deal. It's hard to put down because you can get some really big bites on some of those moving baits, but a lot of time it is a timing thing where, those fish pull up in a certain area for a short period of time throughout the day, and you can catch them quick if you're there, but it's very feast or famine right now. The water level's low. There's usually more fish on the bank than there is. A lot of these fish are out chasing these shad that are in the middle of the pockets. There's a lot of fish starting to group up. White bass, crappie, everything is starting to kind of chase these shad, which are 3/4 to half of the way to all the way back in some of these creeks. It just kind of depends on the day, but they're starting to move further back into the creeks. It seems like the shad move out and then they come back in. So they're moving shallower, and hopefully these bass are going to start moving shallower with them. We can catch them on the Alabama rigs and jerk baits and even a Damiki rig and stuff like that on some of those suspended fish and bait. But when those fish are up shallow, those power baits, like those power fishing presentations, I should say, like the buzz bait, the swim bait, the spinner bait can be really dynamite ways to catch big fish. But you just kind of got to go out there and judge each day for what it is. You know, some days the fish are shallow, some days they're on docks, some days they're, you know, out there on structure. You really got to kind of keep moving. It's been changing a lot, and it's going to continue to change going into the weekend. We've got a lot of big tournaments coming up. Over Thanksgiving weekend, there's going to be 3, 4, 5 different tournaments on the lake. Should get some great turnouts, and hopefully the fishing's awesome. It can't do anything but improve, in my opinion. The fish have kind of been wandering around, not knowing what to do. Now we're going to get some cold weather, and hopefully they finally get the hint and start feeding. And I think it's going to be a really good weekend. A variety of things are going to be successful, so that always makes for some fun tournaments. I came out in the garage yesterday and kind of got the boat ready and rigged some stuff up, and I ended up rigging like 25 rods, which is unusual for me on this lake. Usually I can put like a top water and a jig on my deck and have a great time out here, but you know, there's a lot of things going on, which makes it a fun time to fish. So got this boat for sale, this nitro boat right here. I've been trying to get rid of it, and haven't done a very good job of advertising it, but if anybody refers me someone to buy this boat, I will send them $500. If we can figure out how you referred them, I'll give you $500 for helping me out on the sale of this thing. Nitro Z21 XL, 250 Pro XS, Mercury, Garmin electronics. This thing is loaded out. My friends at Russell Marine Products have helped me trick it out with all their accessories. Just a really good boat. So it's in good shape and it's ready for a new home because I got a new nitro on the way. Got a lot of guide trips available. We've had several guide trips the last few weeks, been doing a couple a week, and you know, they've been a grind, but we've caught some nice fish, some fish that I would have loved to have had in the Missouri Invitational, which I fished last week. Fished with a guy named Ryan Tucker out of Lenexa, Kansas, where I grew up at, and we had a great time. Had a fun time on the golf course. We caught limits of bass each day. Unfortunately, man, they were just small. We tried to make the topwater game work and some of these big baits, and threw the spinner bait a ton, and the fish just weren't showing themselves for us up shallow. A few guys caught them up there. Congrats to all the winners, but we had to resort to a jig, fishing out deep. Had some bites to do a little bit better than what we did. We left some fish swimming and definitely left a few putts out there on the golf course as well. But man, thanks to Bass and Bob for putting on a really good event. It's one of the events that I look forward to throughout the year. It's super fun. And man, what a great time. Chuck Austin, Jackson Froth won that one. So it was a good tournament. Congrats to those guys. But should be some good tournaments this weekend. Fish should be biting. A lot of stuff going on. So stay on your toes out there. Good luck to everybody. Hope you guys catch some big ones.